Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to AI Era Islamic Abrahamic Wisdom. History teaches us that empires do not collapse because of weak armies. They collapse because of broken financial systems. In 18 to 19 AH, the Islamic State had expanded across Iraq, Syria, Egypt, and Persia. New provinces, new revenues, new responsibilities. The question was monumental. Who controls the money, the center or the provinces? At this critical moment, Umar ibn al-Khattab, radiallahu, established a revolutionary principle. Revenue belongs to the Ummah. Administration belongs to the provinces. Oversight belongs to the center. Tonight, we uncover how Case 29 created the first balanced fiscal federation in world history, a system that prevented corruption, rebellion, and tyranny, 14 centuries before modern federal states.
No way. A bureaucrat sitting in Medina can't possibly understand a famine in Syria quickly enough to help. But total independence for the provinces was also a disaster waiting to happen, because we all know that money without accountability is a recipe for corruption. So, this is the magic sauce right here. This three-part balance. Number one, provinces collect and spend their own money on their local needs. This keeps them agile and responsive. Two, the center doesn't micromanage them, but it audits everything. It sets the standards for fairness and transparency. And three, this is the most revolutionary part, a system of redistribution. If one province had extra money, a surplus, it was used to help another province that was struggling. This quote just perfectly sums up the whole spirit of the system. A governor's job was simply to manage the people's money on their behalf. They were a trustee and administrator, they were never the owner. This one rule created a firewall between political power and financial control, a check against greed that we desperately need even today. And how did they enforce all this? Through something we call radical transparency today. Every single province had to keep detailed books. We're talking registers for all income, logs for every single expense, and reports on any surplus left over. Nothing was secret. Everything was on the record, ready to be audited by the central government at a moment's notice. Now, a system always sounds great in theory, right? But the real test is always a crisis. So let's look at a powerful case study known as the Year of Ashes. This was a moment when a devastating famine put this entire federal structure to the ultimate test. This is where we see the system come to life. Okay, so here's the scene. The heartland of the empire, the Hijaz region, is hit by a terrible famine. People are starving, the local resources are completely gone. Now, under pretty much any other system, this would have been a catastrophe with no clear solution. But this is where the genius of the federal model just kicks into gear. An immediate call for help goes out to all the provinces. And this wasn't just some hopeful plea for charity. This was the activation of a pre-planned constitutional mechanism designed for exactly this kind of emergency. And the response was just incredible. You can see that fiscal solidarity in action. Egypt, which was the breadbasket of the empire, sends massive shipments of grain. Syria sends other essential supplies. Iraq contributes its own resources. Aid is flowing across borders, and it's coordinated and efficient. But you know, the most powerful result of all of this was that because of the way the system was designed, not a single provincial governor could turn around and say, "This is not our problem." That core principle, that the wealth belonged to the entire community, meant that the suffering of one province was the responsibility of all provinces. It built this incredible sense of unity. And that's really the beautiful conclusion here. This wasn't just some economic machine. It was a system that took the ethical idea of compassion and made it operational. It built a framework where helping each other wasn't just some economic machine. It was a system that took the ethical idea of compassion and made it operational. It built a framework where helping each other wasn't just a good deed, it was a state duty. So you might be thinking, okay, great history lesson, but why does a 1400-year-old system matter to us right now? Well, because the challenges of balancing central power with local needs haven't gone away. In fact, you could argue they're more relevant than ever. Let's look at the lessons this model holds for us today. Just take a look at this comparison. The parallels are absolutely striking. Caliph Umar's central oversight in Medina, that's the ancestor of modern federal audits. The provincial treasuries are basically today's state budgets, and that system of surplus redistribution. That's exactly what modern nations try to do with things called equalization funds, The structure is almost identical.
So, what are the big takeaways from all this? Here are 5 lessons that are completely timeless. 1. Give local governments the power to spend, but never, ever let them escape accountability. 2. Set central standards for justice, but don't centralize decision-making so much that it causes delays and suffering. 3. Share the wealth between regions. 4. Keep politicians' hands out of the treasury. And 5. Audit everything, relentlessly.
Ultimately, it all comes down to this core philosophy. The true strength of a nation isn't measured by its GDP or how much tax revenue it brings in. It's measured by its justice, by how well it takes care of all its people, making sure that wealth is a tool for welfare, not a source of division.
And that leaves us with one last question to really think about. In a world with so much inequality and political division, could this ancient model of ethical federalism, a model built on trusteeship, transparency, and solidarity, actually hold the key to solving some of our most pressing modern financial challenges? It's a powerful thought to end on.